Good morning, everyone. Well, I'm looking for today to be reversal day to resume this downtrend. The location is right. We got these Fed minutes at 2 o'clock, and that's the wild card that can drive this market either way. The current price action and multiple time frames suggest it should be to the downside. We know news can spoil any setup, but we'll see how it goes. And that's going to, obviously, as it always does, make prices gyrate irrationally in the moment. So we got this upside shakeout. We see one of the concepts. Let's go back to what we were looking at yesterday, right? And we said this was the area where prices should turn. And they stalled there yesterday, but clearly didn't go down. And we talked about the momentum move up and the void below and the potential to go higher if, buyers continue to step up. So one of our concepts is called creating support or resistance where there is none. Because we always look into the left to see what is there to stop prices from moving up or down. And we see, well, when there's a void like there is here, and we say what's over here is subjective, which is this area right here, what we call minor resistance. It can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And over the years, going back many, many years ago, I would see that and believe it as being, let's say, factual or real, and hesitant to believe or trade that that was going to be a stopping point, that it could go higher. And because we look at concepts like support and resistance, and it creates beliefs about what is possible or not. And then watching prices just blow through it like it's not there, the light bulb moment went on of, the void concept and what's beyond directly to the left being subjective and everything that is related to MTS. Okay. So what happens if it doesn't get to the destination up here and because of this void? And the same thing if this was to start going to the downside here. What if it stops here and begins to go sideways? Well, we need a concept and rules that guides our thinking. And that is what brings the idea of a concept of creating support and resistance. And that can form in different ways. So this was creating resistance. It created a little bit of support, and it's tight, which creates no void whatsoever and leads to chop. And that's what happened yesterday. Now, as prices consolidated there, it's the overnight trading, things are light, but in any event, it went up and it cleared the highs, which then wide range bars, like, okay, it's going up. It's like, hold on there, cowboy, and we don't know that this is going to happen. And it gets slammed right back down again. And this is what's called an upside shakeout. And depending on how it forms, you might say, well, it's a head and shoulders top or whatever, right? It went up and it got slammed back down. It broke above the highs and it failed. Upside shakeout, bearish. Now, what we look for it to do now is, since this is support, go sideways and then roll back over again, which sets up this bias that prices are going to go down today. Today should be a turn day. Well, we got these Fed minutes to deal with, and who's going to want to get aggressive in front of that? Well, not many. We'll see how this sets up and whether it breaks these lows and so on. Are there any good stock recommendations for covered call stocks? Ollie, probably not a lot at this time, since the market has been going through a correction. But anything that you don't want to sell, right? So with a covered call, you want to do something that is extended to the upside, that you want to sell that call option and take in some premium, but you don't want the stock taken away. So you start with things, obviously, that are in your portfolio that you believe are at a point where they're not likely to go up, and then go to the option table and see if there's premium there and how far away you want to go. And do you want to sell that covered call? And so we'd have to start looking through your individual stocks and say yes and no, yes and no. So, you know, we don't have the time for that. But look, if you were to take the swing trading course, you would know what to do. And if you add options to it, if you know about options, well, you don't need an option course, but knowledge. I mean, that's what everybody's here for, gain knowledge. But things are moving down here a little bit. Now, we'll see what happens when it gets to this pivot. There's going to be buyers there. We'll see if how aggressively they want to defend it. So SPX, let's look at SPY first. SPY, we see the little gap up. It didn't go far, caught between the 20 and the 200. And, thought maybe it could get a little higher. Didn't do that, which is a sign of weakness. Now, it's at 444. Where's 444? It's close to the bottom, gapping down near the low of this green bar. Ideally, it would be gapping below the low, but it's close enough for government work, which we all know is sloppy. So it's going down below here. It's got a gap. So initially, look, this sets up lower. Right? It's got some unfilled gap down here. And we usually get some kind of movement early in the morning, and then everybody backs off for the Fed minutes. So gap fill, take note of it. Got a whole number of 440. You can look at how much open interest there might be there as far as support. You got this bottoming tail bar right there as support as well. And so just looking at the setup that we have now in the gap down, any gyrations today, moves up, should stay below yesterday's high. And that puts us in alignment with the bearish setup that we've been talking about. And then we'll see where the day ends, so on and so forth, and how the markets take whatever is going to come at 2 o'clock. Right? But our bias is that, what's happening currently, the gap down now, as long as it stays, where it is, give or take, more bearish, things are going lower. Right? SPX, if you choose to, right? Again, disclaimer, Fed craziness, who knows? I think it stays below. It should stay below, right? Unless they come out, and I don't know what they would do to make the market go up. They can't lower interest rates. If they stand pat, probably the market's not going to like it. What's going to come out of their mouth, we don't know. In any event, 45.35, just from the bearish point of view, it's not going to get back above this high. Right? I know, damn it, whatever they're going to say. And look, there's no guarantee that they don't come out and raise interest rates and blindside us. It's happened before. So you have to be, leery about any position here that could, wiggle the market violently. So who knows? It's an unknown. So forgetting news, 45.35, I think is a good spot. It's based on a bearish bias. Now the downside, the no-brainer premiums have kind of evaporated a bit. And, with this stabilization and move up, but 43.65, that's pretty tight. Let me just look again, 43, 40 today, 43. No, 43, coming up a little, coming up here, 43.10. 43.10, 43.35. I think that's a no-brainer. 43.10 down here. Look, it can get ugly. You got this consolidation. Again, news, so on and so forth. You got that pivot low as defense, and you've got all of this. Gapping down to the low of this bar does set up a move lower, so may want to hold off there a little bit since this is still moving down. It's coming to that pivot. It is far enough. It is far away, and you've got 2 lines of defense there. and it's coming down. And as it's coming down, let's see here. 43.05 is 45 cents by 55 cents. So as far away as possible. And maybe it increases a little bit, right? Because it's in an area where it's supposed to go down, right? So, going up here, right, I think is as close to a no-brainer as we're going to get with the numbers today. And coming down here, it's actually possible it goes down there, but support and support. All right, let's continue here. And Qs, we're going to have neutral bars everywhere here, but short-term moves lower. This is already breaking some pivots here. So I suspect this has been the weaker. It's likely it's going to continue to go down. And obviously at the end of the day today, that pre-market high is resistance, which is close to yesterday's high. And, down here, support. We've got a pivot intraday. So as intraday traders, look at that point as a potential stopping point. If this continues to come down here, in a fluid way, I'm sure it's going to stop there. So it's pretty decent amount for where it's been traveling from already. For it to bounce from, it'll be a target to cover who's ever short. Right. All right, looking at the Qs, where they're gapping. So I always look at the Qs to see how things look relative to a gap within the current pattern. So let's call it 354-ish. It's not gapping below the low, it's gapping into the middle of the bar. 354 gapping in the middle of this range here. Just not really bearish, right? And so on. So neutral, Russell, top of the range, selling coming in, same story as what we're seeing. And same story as what we're seeing, support, upside, shakeout, so on and so forth. Still expecting it to go lower. It's in development mode. As to the turn, I'm assuming Fed minutes out of the way, whatever they're going to say, this is going down. And you can see interest rates are going higher. A little down move here today. Where is that? 1970. Well, gapping below the low. So a little bit of reprieve in this move up. Nonetheless, it's 3 month has been ripping higher, the 5-year higher. They're coming in a little bit, which makes me, what is happening with financials here? Down a little bit. Okay. That's flat. We'll watch what the financials do here early on. It will be a guide. Transports, bearish. Everything is suggesting we're just in a mode of consolidating here, and more news out of the way. Russia seems to have been a hoax, maybe. I don't know. But what happened to Russia and the attack? What happened to the emergency meeting of the Fed? I guess we're going to hear whatever they're going to say today. And short and cruiser relative strength. Yeah, LVS was doing better. This is down here. Bitcoin is down. Where is that? 37, 40, 43.7. Just neutral. Everything is a little bearish to neutral here this morning. VIX. So we don't have anything definitive yet, or what we sometimes call Dan calls something, or I use the word event, which is here's a bar that just jumps out and says, this is a turn, or this was a shock. We don't have any of that going on here. Just looking here. USO was a bearish gap down. It's up here today, 65, coming back up. Don't get too aggressive here. else more can I say? All right, we don't have anything definitive here. I mean, this that had a bearish day yesterday is just flipping around. So silver, nothing. Consolidating the gain. So be careful today. Disclaimers, Fed. Don't have any great patterns here to go on. We'll see what happens. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yep, good summary. That's our bias. We're still in day trade mode. The Fed minutes, you've heard me talk about it. I always thought they're not nearly as much of a market mover as an actual Fed meeting, which is the current, because they come out and they make other comments. Bullard comes out, they do lunch speeches, they do editorials. But last Fed minutes release, we actually had a massive move, which shocked me. Like, wow, I did not anticipate this big move. So yeah, it's an unknown. I said yesterday into the close that I would have a bullish day trading bias only, provided this 15-minute chart didn't, have a bearish gap and it took out yesterday's high. And it's obviously not doing that. So, yep, I agree. Everything Greg said, a bearish day trade and swing bias, provided we stay under yesterday's low. So there you have it. I posted there's a lot of gappers today. So here it is again. We'll be going through those. Opens are all fine. We got a Tesla Condor. We got a lot of a call spread on Boeing. Just glancing at the opens here. Riven was posted, put spread over yesterday's high, which is still perfect. Perfect. If it hits, they'll be even better, because then it'll be negating this morning 15-minute breakdown. So that's both a directional and put spread. All right, everything's fine. Let me go over to these gappers here. Actually, everything's fine with the exception of this. With Roblex, we purposely did a naked put into earnings with the intent of, hey, it's a bullish pattern, it's beat up. I mean, look at a weekly, it's a Climo, and we would take assignment of it. We sold the 55s, and that's a big, ugly gap. I cannot deny that. It had an expected move of like 1480, so it's even exceeding the expected move. But we'll watch it. We said we would take stock that we would have a cost basis of 53.90, and which is still $3 lower. Airbnb, we were talking about also doing the same type of added money put spread, the 150s. I didn't post it official, but I know some in the green room did it. That's getting a nice gap up. I think the news said they were back to pre-corona. They've exceeded pre-corona bookings. Shell here, recent IPO, gapping up, but no pattern. Wix getting whacked. Wow, that is a breakout failure on the monthly. That's some ugly price action there. Look at this little guy. I remember seeing him in Barron's, the recent IPO. Got excited, came back. Thought it was going to hold over here. Never traded over prior bar's high. Retesting the low, inside bar. I'm going to keep an eye on this thing. Actually, KSCP. I'm going to set an alarm at 880. Marriott had nice earnings yesterday. We had H today. Was it H or Hilton? I don't know. We'll come back to it. But casinos, Milko still looks good. That's on my watch list. The two bankings here, KRE, the regionals. As Greg said, we'll watch these. It's a buy setup. XLF's the buy setup, but it has to get over yesterday's high. And then that's a swing long, yesterday's high. So I'll set an alarm at 40:35. Interest rate sensitive, obviously, so that should move with the Fed minutes. Shop got killed. Yeah. Let's say that. So this is a perfect example. I mean, earnings destroyed it, but just talking about the pattern. This is a descending triangle in a power downtrend, declining 20, railroad track 50. And so when we have the MT live on bottoming patterns, that's what Greg was saying. I look for a something bar, which means give me something that jumps out that says, okay, there's a shock bar where it doesn't want to go any lower. I don't have that here. So so like in the green room, if somebody would say, oh, Dan, shop is bottoming, they know that my answer would be potential bottom, because there's no something bar. UPST, Diego's asking. Yeah, this was on my put spread watch. Now see, this also was a potential bottoming pattern, but this one's more developed than shop because you had a breakdown failure, you had a higher high, you got a retest, it's above the 20. Look at the volume, got a bottoming tail. So Diego's asking about a day trade, and Diego, the answer is I have absolutely no idea. Why? Because the gap's huge. So you got to put it in a 5-minute chart and wait 30 minutes and see how it sets up. But it's a beautiful put spread candidate. Bottom right here, I put AMC. That's a put spread candidate. See, potential bottoming pattern. The something here is these three robust days that slice through the prior high on volume. And it has earnings today. KHC, it's in a downtrend, but it made the turn, TURN, and it's gapping above 3 bars highs. So 30-minute high, that's a put spread idea, maybe day trade. Now Snap, yeah, the bearish gap down, so that's a shock gap down, so that could be a call spread candidate. I noticed Facebook selling off here pre-market an hour or so ago. That's a big sell-off. Look, that's at a multi-month lows here. I've been watching this. I want another nasty sell-off, and I was saying in the green room, let this thing tank to 210, and then we'll sell out of the money puts. Today might be the day. I mean, that to me definitely looks like news as opposed to just falling with the broader market, because it actually started falling before the broader markets did. DWAC gapping up, so that's a put spread watch, maybe 30-minute high. So there's Facebook. BBIG, this is not bad at all. Look, trading range, but that's bullish pre-market. See, I'm trading gaps. I use my pre-market pattern. So this is a wide range igniting, and this is a buy setup at 50% into the WRB in a reversal with a price void. So I'm going to put that in a window. It looks great for a possible day trade long. BIG. Pen, if breaks out. Yeah, I've been watching, well, Win had earnings and it's gapping down, but I've been watching LVS. LVS is holding up better. than a win right now. But Marriott all-time highs, H, Hilton, White House, Red Roof Inn, a lot of hotels are doing well. So Jets did well. Look at that, Jets is a closing breakouts. Wow. So the beat up kind of reopening sector was getting some activity this last week. 2376 put spread idea, gap breakout from huge bottoming pattern. So I'm going to need help today with going through these potential put spread candidates. Trip. Yeah, Trip looks good. Sure. Yeah, look at the weekly. Weekly has room. Eric, bearish gap down, 1080. Yeah, see, that's a call spread candidate, but the gap's too big. Hey, Debbie. Zulu, India, $52, call spread candidate. Jacopo, PLG. Yeah. What I like about this one. Now I know I got smacked over here last month, but I like this continuation bar, the gap down and bullish engulfing close. You know, I'd like it a whole lot more if it didn't have that, because that's going to make the target into question. But we have a lot of bottoming patterns here on my list. I'll get to them in time, but we have a lot of them. Tossed, $23. Call spread. Call spread if there's any juice over last week's high. Put spread, QTWO. LSCC, 30-minute high, day trade and put spread. I like that it's gapping right to yesterday's high. So there's nothing to do now. You got to see how it holds. But that's a long candidate. Like I said, day trade and put spread, maybe 5, 10, 15-minute high. Look at the KHC moving here, middle chart. I do not, as a general rule, trade in the first 5 minutes, period. But definitely I do not on earnings stocks. I mean, they're whipping around. AYX put spread candidate, 5-minute high. Angie call spread candidate. Oust potential bottoming pattern, but there's no something bar. I see one print at 88, maybe 30-minute high.